Hi everyone, I'm Cody, W3AMG with Bridgecom Systems, and today we're doing a live Q&A. Ask me anything. We're going to cover everything ham radio related and specifically DMR and Bridgecom related products. So this is the time to ask your questions. If you have questions about the radio, about getting set up with the radio, about how to use your radio, this is the place. So thank you all for stopping by. Definitely, start asking your questions. We'll do a few shout outs here while we're waiting. But start putting those questions in the chat so we can get to them. Yeah, a couple quick announcements before we get started. We do have a giveaway going on right now, as always. Not on the stream today, but we have a large giveaway worth over $4,500 going on right now. So definitely check it out, bridgecomsystems.com. Enter, you could have a chance to win some awesome ham radio gear. And as always, if you need help with anything beyond what we're doing here on the stream, give us a phone call, 816-532-8451. We'd love to help you with it. We're here for you. So let's get into some questions. Let's see who we have here. Let's see. There's a Patrick, KE8CTZ. Let's see. Carl, KB9QDG. Let's see. Roy, KA8BYU. Okay, here it looks like we're awesome. We're starting to get some questions. Yeah, ask your questions, folks. Let's see. Here we go. Here's a question. Can you make the Skybridge IP address static or fixed? That's a good question. So the Skybridge, I believe just like any other device, you would be able to do that, but I have never actually done that myself. So maybe if someone in the chat here has done that, they could chime in and let us know if that's possible. Definitely, if you want to learn more about it, one of our tech guys in-house is brilliant with all that stuff. He can tell you that for sure and help you get set up with it. But I would think you can do that. But like I said, never done that myself, but great question. If you want to learn more about that, give us a call. We'll help you out. Awesome. Let's see here. See more people stopping by. When W6WHB, Larry WB4 WZI, Philip into OSO, Robert or Bob VE3 TXF. Awesome. Here we go. Here's a question. Cody, is there a way to remotely shut down the Skybridge Plus from the 878 UV2? That's a good question. So yeah, being able to remotely shut it down from the radio. I have never done that myself either. That would be awesome if there's a way to do that. We will have to find out. I don't know that there is. You can remotely shut down the Skybridge from the web portal. So you basically log into the IP address and just press shut down. It's really pretty simple, but if there is a way to do it from the radio, that would be really neat. So, hey, if you figured it out, let us know. Here we go. Here's a question. Cody, can you tell me how you scan? Yeah, so that's a great question. So on these radios, they have what's called scanning list, which allow you to scan through different channels. It's awesome for certain things. This isn't really a scanner, so if you want to do advanced scanning operations, this is probably not the right radio. You do actually want to get a dedicated scanner for that. They're a little bit different. But for simple scanning, this is awesome. So we could actually have a look on the CPS here. Let me switch over to the computer. Yeah, so if we open up the programming software, I can show you kind of how a scan would work. So we'll wait for that to open up real quick. Okay, give it just a second here. We'll open up that CPS. Awesome, there we go. So there's an option here called scan list. Now if I click on that, you can see we actually have some scan lists in there already. But if you wanted to add one, what you do is just double click like that, and we can give it a name. So let's say I want to do my weather channels. We'll do NOAA weather channels. And you can add any of your channels at that point. See if I can find them in here. A lot of channels in this radio. Let's see. Should be in here somewhere. Yeah, we'll see if we can find them real quick. Obviously, you have to be able to find what you want to put in your scan list, but well, what was that then? I am not seeing those weather channels here. I believe they're in there, but so we'll do another just test scan. So we could put in, let's say, all of these channels here. We can just add those in. Let's say we want those channels. Then you can just click OK. And you can set some different priorities and scanning speed, stuff like that. Then click OK. It's going to create that. Write that to your radio. And then while you're on your radio, basically what you do is you activate the scan list. So here we can switch over to the radio view and show you how that would work. So there's our radio. Hopefully you can see that okay. So if we go to menu, and then you're going to go down to scan. There's scan, and you can simply just turn on scan. Obviously you want to select a scan list first. So we'll go down to the scan list, and let's say we want the sky scan list. There we go. Here's a tip. If you have a large scan list, if you click into it, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom to actually select it. What you actually want to do is press the up arrow, and it will take you back around to the bottom where you can then select the list. So that's a quick time saver for you. So select current list, hit that. There we go. Awesome. Now we can turn scan on. There we go, and it is going to scan. We can see that there, obviously, because these are talk groups that we have not keyed up to. We're not going to hear anything. This is going to work well for like the NOAA weather channels I was talking about, or analog repeaters, or you could do something with like digital monitor. But there you go. You can see it now. If activity shows up, it's going to automatically stop on whatever channel has activity until it's done. Then it will keep scanning. Now, what I would recommend doing is setting a channel or a let me switch back over here. What I would recommend doing is setting a button to turn your scan on and off, a shortcut button. That'll work. That'll be the best option for you. That way you can just go into shortcuts and set a button for that. That way you don't have to go in the menus. So hopefully that helps. Scanning works pretty well. Like I said, it's not a dedicated scanner, so it's not going to be super fast. But for stuff like that, it works great. Awesome. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Ed says, explain roaming and how to use it. Yeah, it's a great question. Basically, how the roaming feature works on these radios is you will import your repeaters. Let's say you were going on a trip, you'd add all those repeaters beforehand that are going to be in your range, and then turn on roaming. You'll actually make a roaming list, and then the radio will automatically actually switch on those repeaters based on your connectivity. So if you have connection with one and then you're fading out of connectivity, but there's another one that's better connection, it'll actually switch over to it. It's a really cool feature. If you travel a lot and have a lot of repeaters programmed in your radio, it works great. You just have to do the setup beforehand to make it work correctly. In the CPS, we can quickly just demo where you would find that information. Let's see here. So if we go to roaming, so there's your roaming channel and your roaming zone. So I could create a new one here. You can set some information, frequency. You can set all that up. We can cover, it's a little bit more in depth. We can cover that in another video, but that is the basic operation of roaming and kind of how you would go about getting started with it. Okay. Here we go. Patrick asks, can you use open time slot repeater that's connected to brandmeister on another server like TGIF? KE8CTZ. Awesome, great question. So if it's an open time slot repeater, if it supports TGIF, then sure, absolutely, but that repeater may not support TGIF. It would just depend on that. If they do, then great. So that'll just depend on your specific situation. Okay. Here we go. Mark asks, can I use my cell phone as a hotspot for the Skybridge? Great question. Yeah, so the Skybridge, obviously, as we know, it needs an internet connection to work properly. And what do you do if you don't have an internet connection or if you travel a lot? Well, it seems like all of us have one of these cell phones nowadays, and those actually have internet connection, and they can power the Skybridge with internet. So if you have a cell phone, all you need to do is just turn on that mobile hotspot. It's called a hotspot on your cell phone. And then you can connect that to your Skybridge, and it will work pretty much anywhere at that point. Anywhere your cell phone works, it will work. That way you can be talking to people on DMR, you know, when you're out traveling. I know a lot of truck drivers actually really like this because instead of having to program their radio for each different repeater as they go through different areas, they can just have it set up with the Skybridge and it works the entire way. So awesome question. And totally, you can absolutely do that. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Learning that not all DMR repeaters access the same talk groups. DMR Mark, Brandmeister, what's the best way to identify talk groups for different repeaters? How would you organize them in radio? Yeah, so good question. Couple different answers are, I suppose. The best way to if you have different repeaters with different kind of talk groups, is just label them. When you create your talk groups, label them for you know, one or the other. And if you have a lot, you can export the list and just label that entire list with add something on the front of it in Excel or some program like that. That way you can keep them apart. That'll be the best way to do it. Obviously for your channels, you can sort them out by zones, but for the talk groups, that's what I'd recommend. There may even be some lists out there that have already been separated to different kind of talk groups, because some overlap and some do not. So yeah, there's definitely different kinds. We tend to go with Brandmeister just because it's the most popular. Seems like you find the most people on it, but there's a lot of other good networks too, TGIF, and there's, you know, there's some others out there that I am less familiar with as well, but lots of good options. Okay, here we go. How to enter DRM repeaters in ultracode plug, as the repeaters always say repeater not found. Yeah, so I'm assuming you mean DMR repeaters in the ultracode plug. Correct me if I'm wrong there, as the repeaters are not found. So a few things could be happening. Definitely, we actually have a video that'll walk you through how to add local repeaters to your ultracode plug. I don't know if you're trying to add them to it to use separately, or if you're trying to make the ultracode plug work for that local repeater. That will be a slightly different story depending on what you're wanting to do, but we can definitely help you there. If you're just getting repeater not found, definitely check your settings. Make sure, you know, color code, time slot, the frequencies, all that's correct. You may also check that the repeater is alive. It's possible it's not active, or it's also possible you're not in range of it. Also check that you have your radio ID in your radio. Under the radio ID section, I'll show you where that is real quick. So if you go to the digital tab and radio ID list, just make sure you actually have your radio ID in there, otherwise you'll have trouble. Awesome. Let's see here. Here we go. Is there an automatic volume control? The incoming audio is all over the place. Some are low, and then the person is talking is very loud. I have to keep adjusting the volume control. Yeah, that's a good question. You know that I have never played around with that. I don't believe there is, unfortunately, but let me double check, see if there's something in the settings here real quick for that. You never know, there could be a feature that I've never used. So you can set the maximum volume. There is an enhanced sound quality. So you may play around with that. You may be able to get, I don't know what the advanced sound quality does. I typically leave it turned off myself, but it may work for you. So definitely check that out in the CPS. I'll show you where it is. So just go to your optional settings here on the left, and then it's going to be under volume and audio. Check out that enhanced sound quality. It may do something for you. It may not. No guarantees it'll do what you're wanting to do, but they may have some kind of leveling in there in that enhancement. So definitely give it a shot. But thanks for the question. Here we go. Mark asks, where does the Skybridge obtain power? Yeah, great question. So the Skybridge actually runs off of USB. I'll show you here. Oops. Here we go. Yeah, so here's our Skybridge. If we turn it around, there's actually a USB port on it, and we just have a micro USB cable that plugs into that. Now the Skybridge comes with all of the different things you'll need to power it. So it comes with a cable to power it, just plug it into the wall, standard AC power. It also comes with a car charger, so you can use it in the car. It's basically a car adapter. And then it also comes with a battery, so you can use it on the go as well. So lots of options to power your Skybridge. If you can charge your cell phone, you're going to be able to run your Skybridge too. So plenty of options there for power. See, Davis, this is awesome. Want to see more of these. 73 K3DHI. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're trying to help a lot of folks, and hopefully these are helpful to you guys. Let's see. Okay, find another question here. Oop, what happened? Okay, yeah, my mouse has been doing weird things today, so I apologize if it's a little bit of a delay getting the comments up there. Okay, can the roaming and analog repeater, or can the roaming and analog repeaters, will it work on them too? Okay, so you're asking if the roaming function will work on analog repeaters too. Absolutely. The roaming has nothing to do with whether it's digital or analog. Really, you just have to set it up so the actual repeaters are in there beforehand, and you'll be good to go. So totally. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. Here's a question. Can you tell me when I program a talk group into the CPS, do I have to write that to my radio and the entire digital contact list? Yeah, great question. This is a very useful question we probably haven't covered very much. So if you're making a change to your radio, and let's say you just did change a talk group, you added some talk groups, you don't need to write the entire digital contact list to your radio again. It's gonna, that box that it has you check, that is purely for the digital contact list, not talk groups, nothing else like that. So if you want to make changes to your radio but don't want to wait 10 minutes to update that big old list in your radio, just uncheck that box when you write to it and read from it, and you'll be good to go. You're still going to have the list in your radio, so most of the time I just leave that box unchecked when I write to radio and just do the other data, that's what they call it, and that changes 90% of everything in your radio. Obviously, if you're going to update the digital contact list, make sure to check the box, but other than that, no need to do it. It'll save you a lot of time. Okay. Oop. we go. What's the best way to set up DMR simplex? W5ALD. Yeah, great question. So that probably depends what you're trying to do. If you just want to have radio-to-radio communication, you could even do it from the radio. Just you know, pick your simplex channel and turn your radio to digital and DMR, and all your buddies or whoever else is going to be talking to you on it, set their radios to the same thing, and you'll be up and running with DMR simplex. But that could mean a lot of things too. If you're talking about to the hotspot, I mean, this is simplex communication on DMR. Lots of options there. So I guess it depends what you're trying to accomplish, but it is pretty simple. Okay, let's see. Robert, having a problem programming the radio through CPS to enable PF2 or another button to enable call in digital mode. Error message says, not work in Digi. Do you have a solution? Okay, let me try to understand what's going on here. So you want to enable PF2, or you want to enable a button, excuse me, basically, for a call in digital mode, to enable call in digital mode. Okay, I understand. So you want, let me see here, we'll have a look on the radio here. I haven't, not super familiar with that, I don't think, but we'll see see if I can replicate it. Okay, we'll switch over here to the radio. Okay. Let's see, we'll go to key function. So we're looking call in digital mode. Oh, so this is, okay, I get it, call. You're talking about this, I think. So if we enable that. Let's see, so we're getting an error message. So if I hold down this. Not working Digi. Okay, I see exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, great question. I am unfamiliar with what that feature actually does or what it's used for. So definitely give us a call, 816-532-8451. One of our tech guys will be able to help you with that. We'll definitely get you taken care of there. If anyone in the chat understands what that is and why that message is happening, maybe we're not using it correctly, let us know. We'd love to help out Robert here. Okay. Here we go. Here's a question. How do you mute the front panel button clicks? Awesome. Yeah, so a couple different ways. If you want to mute the beeps in the radio itself, you can change it from here. So we'll show you. We can just simply go into here, go down to settings, radio set. Believe it's under other function. May not be. We'll find out here. No, I don't think it's in that one. Maybe key function. Nope. Yeah, they changed this a while back, and I don't think I've adjusted this since then. The new menu system is much better, but you do have to learn it. Let's see. Yeah, keytone. It's under voice function. There you go. So keytone, just go into that setting and turn it off. Now it's not going to beep at you when you press buttons. Just like that. Now I can turn the volume all the way up if I want, and we're not getting any noise. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, so go to menu, settings, radio set, voice function. So you basically just go in the menu and click the the green button until you get there. Awesome, there we go. Great question. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a good question. Raymond asks, is there a way to turn off the volume window pop-up and it delays seeing where I'm at, finding my repeater? Absolutely. So that pop-up that comes up when you turn the volume knob, you can totally disable that. In fact, I sometimes do that on my personal radio. I kind of go back and forth because the volume knob is sometimes, you know, it's hard to tell where you're at. So part of me likes having that, but part of me doesn't. So I actually go back and forth on which one I prefer there. So to enable that or disable that, I think I've only done it through the CPS. I'm sure you can do it on the radio as well, but we'll find it here. Let's see if we can't find it for you. So in the CPS, it will be under the optional settings. So on the left-hand side, go to optional settings. Let's see if we can find it. Probably under display. Give me a second here. It's been a minute since I've turned that on and off. We'll find it for you here. Volume bar. It's the last option here in display. Just go ahead and turn that off. Now my guess is that's also on the radio. Let's see if we can't find it on the radio here. So we know what it's called now. So if we go to menu, go down to settings, probably radio set, maybe display function. I don't see it there. That may be something you have to change from the CPS, unless it's under the other function somewhere. I would think it would be under display though. That's where it is on the, yep, looks like you need the CPS for that. So you can totally change that, but it looks like you will have to be in the programming software in order to do it. Awesome, let's find another question here. Okay, just find another question here real quick. Here we go. Oh no, that was not the question I intended to put up. Let's see. Okay, well, we'll go with this anyway. I just received your latest and greatest. Haven't opened it out of the box yet. Awesome, KI5TXX. That's great. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything, reach out, but glad to hear it. Let's see if I can find the question I was going to put up. Here we go. Okay, can the Skybridge support brandmeister and TGIF talk groups at the same time, or program the Skybridge for either or? Absolutely. So you can do all of the above, to my understanding. You can do either or, and if you set everything up right, you can actually do them all at the same time. So you can have brandmeister and TGIF set up in your radio. You will have to do a little bit of work to make it all work simultaneously at the same time on the back end. And the Skybridge is somewhat advanced. It will be an advanced level thing. So as a beginner, it's probably not something I dive into straight away. I just do them, you know, separately, but it is possible, and we are going to cover that in the future. Awesome. Thanks for the question. Here we go. Here's a question. Patrick asks, is there a place to download the current digital contact list for free? KE8CTZ. Let's find out. Absolutely. So we'll jump over here to the computer. if we open up a web browser, what you want to do is go to radioid.net. Go to this website. They're a great resource for finding all of the information about your radio IDs and all of that. Basically everything you need to program in your radio. Most of it can be found here. So you want to go to data dumps and scroll down until you see user CSV. That's the one you want for your radio, the Anytone, and just save that to somewhere where you know you can find it and import that in your radio. Now the reason I get it from Radio ID, one, they're great folks over there, but two, this is the actual source. If you get it from anywhere else, it's not coming from the source. This is going to be the latest and greatest, most updated list out there from radioid.net. So hopefully that answers the question. Here we go. Here's a question. Do I need to get a new radio ID for a second radio? No, not at all. Not necessarily. I have multiple radios and have the same ID programmed in them. That's going to work just fine. In fact, most of the time you probably want the same ID in your radio unless you intend to be using them at the same time. So if you're going to use them at the same time, you may consider another ID, or maybe I think there's a way you can add like a 1 or something at the end of it or on the start of it. I forget how that works, but there is a way to do that as well. But for the most part, one ID is going to do just fine for you. You can have it in all your radios, and whatever one you use, it's going to work for you. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Gary asks, do I have to power down the Skybridge through PiStar every time I end my day? Great question. Yeah, so the Skybridge, the proper way to power it down is through PiStar. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I have personally never had any issues just unplugging it. That's what I do for my personal one. I can't necessarily recommend that. Obviously, if you do that, the risk is on you if you mess something up. But I've never had any issues with it, but there is a chance there. So definitely, you do with that as you will. If you want to be safe, definitely do it through the brandmeister. But that's just like a computer. If you unplug your computer, you're probably not going to hurt anything, but there's a chance you could. So it is a little computer in there. So just keep that in mind. I've never had trouble with it though. Don't know if this makes a difference, but it's possible maybe you unplug the other end of your USB cable, might be safer. But like I said, I've never had trouble with it, but that's a risk that's up to you to decide. Awesome. Here we go. WQ9V, thanks for helping me on the hotkeys for 4000, talk through 4000. Yeah, absolutely. That is a huge time saver. So glad you got it working. Hopefully you were able to get that working. I believe Ken was in a live stream we did yesterday, and we helped him with a question. Oh, here, this is interesting. Charlie, what does the man down function do? There is a function on this radio called the man down function. It's not really very useful, but it is kind of entertaining. You can turn it on, and if the radio tips over or drops, it'll basically start alerting. It'll have an alarm go off. You tip it back up, and it stops. How useful that is, I don't know, but it is certainly an entertaining feature. So try it out sometime, but probably want to just leave it turned off. Okay, let's see, find another question here. Okay. Here we go. I would like to use the 878 with 3 others on the same channel. Can it be done at once? Okay, can it be done if none of us have an ID? Okay, if none of us have an ID, I think is what you mean. Well, let's see. So you want the same channel. So if you don't have IDs, you'll be limited to analog. So you could totally use analog operations to talk to people on the same channel, you know, either locally or through a repeater. If you're using DMR, you will have to have radio IDs, though. So just depends on your situation, but absolutely. Okay, find another question here. Here's a question, Larry. Can you set the squelch like the volume control variable adjustment, or do you have to just use the step squelch settings? WB4WZI. Great question. Yeah, so you will have to just use those squelch options, the 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever it has there, or you can turn it off altogether. Yeah, it would be nice to have a little bit more control, but usually you do okay with squelch level 1 or 2. It's usually somewhere in there. I've never really had trouble with it. So I suppose if you're doing real far out analog communication, it might be better to have some kind of option like that. But for all the digital stuff and most analog, it's perfectly fine the way it is. But great question. Yeah, you just have those squelch, the steps. Here we go. Here's a question. WB2DX are the mobile dual bands DMR as well. So I'm assuming you're talking about the 578. I don't think we have one right here, but we have a 578 mobile. We have a tri-band version of it. Then we also have a dual band of that same radio for commercial purposes. They just can't have the 220 on there. You can't have the VFO if it's going to be Part 90 certified. So absolutely, it does DMR, it's DMR, analog, everything like that. It's going to have most of your same features in there. You just have to lose, if you want the commercial one, for commercial applications, you'll lose the VFO, so programming on the front panel, and you'll also lose that 220 megahertz. But other than that, you'll have all the same awesome radio. Awesome. We're going to do one more question here. Okay. Here we go. Mark asks, what is the preferred method to shut down the Skybridge? Yeah, great question. I think we just covered this a little bit, but I will show you the method. So if we go over here to the, well, first we'll have a look at the Skybridge. Here we go. So on the Skybridge, there is an IP address right up there. So you want to type that IP address into a web browser connected to the same network, and we'll be able to basically shut down the Skybridge. So if I log into the computer here and type in the IP address, it's remembered it because it's the same one as normal. Just go to that IP address in the web browser and click on configuration. Username and password will be the same as normal. That's pi-star. Password will be raspberry. That's RASPBERRY. And once you're in there, there's an option up top, go to power. Go to that power function. Once you're there, you can shut it down, you can reboot it, you have lots of options there, and that's basically how that works. Now, oops, let me switch back over. If you want, you can also just unplug it. You know, like we recommend shutting it down the proper way. That's a risk you'd have to take, but you certainly can do that as well. I've never had trouble with it. Awesome, there we go. Well, we're going to call that a wrap today. Hopefully we got a lot of your questions answered. We do these at 11 a.m. Central Time every single week. If you're interested in getting set up with the radio, I'd love to work with you and talk to you about you know, making sure you find something that'll work for your needs. Won't be a waste of money for you. I'd hate for you to go get something you'll just put on the shelf. So if you are interested, if you want to reach me directly, give me a call, 816, or actually, if you want to reach me directly, 636-465-6023. That's my direct number. Cell phone number, so 636-465-6023. And obviously, if you need help with anything else and I'm not available, the main number is 816-532-8451. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful to you. We're going to be back here. If you know anyone interested in learning more about radio or they're having trouble, send them this way. We'd love to help them get them up and on the air. So that's all I have for today. Thank you folks for attending. We will see you in the next video. I'm Cody, W3AMG with Bridgecom Systems. 7-3.